Hi, this is Braden Holtby.
Hi, this is Brian Burke.
This is Kelly Rudy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carly Agro from Sportsnet Central.
I am Jason Greger.
Hi, this is Scott Hartnell.
This is Quick Dick McDick.
Hey, it's Ron McLean, Hockey Night in Canada and Rogers Hometown Hockey, and welcome to the Sean Newman Podcast.
Welcome to the podcast, folks. Well, we're finally on our way back, just pulling through Edmonton, Alberta. Here is a little bit of a summary of what's going on in the last week. From the 23rd to August 30th, we've traveled over 4,000 kilometers, 2 ferries, 4 books, Daryl Sutter, Judith Reeves, Jim Pattison, Wade Redden, Cory Cross, Jordan Tutu, and a couple of our uncles, Bob and Dan Reeves. So I've rattled off a bunch of podcasts in a short period of time, and you're going to get to hear that over the next couple weeks. I first got to give a huge shout out to my parents as they sit in front of me. They've dealt with my, yes, I don't know if you can hear Dad or not, but they've had to deal with me, the weird guy who has pretty much sat here and read the entire drive and then made them sit in a hotel room or do something other than drive around and look at the scenery, because all we've done is talk to people, which I thoroughly enjoy. So a huge shout out to my parents, who are probably going to listen to this again, so I appreciate them coming along for this journey. Now, I've had 4 companies help get me there and back. One very silently, the family of T-Bar 1 Transport. The boys get to have the T-Bar 1 tail of the tape every episode. They've been very kind, and enlisting their fearless leader, old Daddy O'Newman, to captain the ship and get us safely there and back, which has been an interesting journey to say the least. Foremost, the idea started with Foremost. Was sitting in a boardroom with Louis Stang, and that's where the idea started from. So a shout out to Louis and the team at Foremost. They offer smooth walled grain bins, hopper bottoms, and fuel tanks. They're in stock and manufactured locally. They want to ensure you know they're constructed of the highest quality and engineered for a long life. Delivery is free within a 300-kilometer radius of Lloydminster. You can buy them at any of their co-op locations, Lloydminster, Lashburn, or Neilburg. For more information, you can check them out on their website, foremost.ca. Baker Hughes, Upstream Chemicals. When you need improved performance or productivity, your solution often exists in the proper application of specialty chemicals. We offer multiple chemical lines to improve performance, use, and production. Not to mention we have the best group around. Did I mention I work for Baker Hughes? And we will go above and beyond to ensure that you get the answers you need to all your questions. For all your oil field chemical needs, look to Baker Hughes. Tracy Klotz and Titus Tools is a locally owned business which Tracy formed back in 1997. He's got 40 years experience in the oil industry, and under Tracy's direction, Titus has remained loyal to Lloydminster and the surrounding community, continuing to invest in local charities and fundraisers. I have personally seen his passion when it comes to our local talent, whether we were talking about Andrew Mavridis, who is an amateur MMA fighter, former guest of the podcast, or maybe Brandy Hofer, the very talented artist, who also was a former guest of the podcast, or maybe some yahoo driving across to the West Coast for a road trip for his podcast. I really do appreciate everything he has done. If you're interested in finding more out about Titus Tools, head to TitusTools.com. I appreciate everything all these businesses have done for me. So let's get on to your T-Bar 1 Tale of the Tape. Wade Redden, originally from Hillmont, Saskatchewan, was drafted second overall in the 1995 NHL entry draft by the New York Islanders. He played 1,023 games with the Ottawa Senators, New York Rangers, Boston Bruins, St. Louis Blues, and while playing for Team Canada, they captured a gold at the 2004 World Cup of Hockey. Cory Cross, originally from Lloydminster, Alberta, was drafted first overall in the 1992 NHL supplemental draft by the Tampa Bay Lightning. He played 659 games over his career with the Tampa Bay Lightning, Toronto Maple Leafs, New York Rangers, Edmonton Oilers, Pittsburgh Penguins, and Detroit Red Wings. While playing for Team Canada, he captured a gold at the 1997 World Championships. So buckle up. Here we go.
This is Cory Cross.
This is Wade Redden.
And welcome to the Sean Newman Podcast.
Welcome to the Sean Newman podcast. I'm joined by Wade Redden and Cory Cross. Let's talk about men's league for a bit because that is the most important thing.
Number one issue in the world right now.
That's right, our TNHL Thursday night hockey group.
So how what's funny is on the way out here, we play noon hour in Lloyd. I'm sure all around the world they got different little leagues they play in, and all the old boys are worried about how we're all going to be back on the ice. What's the hoops you guys got to jump through?
Well, they just came out with a phase 3, they call it, and so we're hoping that we can all get on the ice and play. The dress rooms are going to be a little more room and not as many guys in the dress room, but on the ice they're saying now up to 30 guys on the ice. So
do you get to use the showers? Do you get to dress, or do you get to come? Are the ex-NHL'ers going to be the guys riding in the vehicles full of gear?
Oh, yeah.
Am I going to drive by Wade and he's going to have all gear on?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm waiting to hear it.
It sounds like it. Yeah, it'll be like the Oilers going to Sherwood Park to go practice, and driving down Highway 16 with all our gear on. But yeah, it sounds like we gotta have our gear on and then no showers and leave right after. But at least we'll have a few more guys on the ice then.
Wives are certainly going to love that, aren't they?
Oh god!
And no spectators, so the wives can't come watch anymore.
Oh, they'll be upset.
They'll be upset about that, eh?
Not that they came, they didn't come.
10:30 Thursday night. That was a highlight for them all. I know.
Is it a pretty good group you guys have Thursday nights?
It is. Yeah, we got well. There's a bunch of guys in town. They've had this skate going for probably close to 30 years. So there's a mix of like local guys and then a lot of the pro guys really that retire and want to kind of have a skate or whatever. A lot of those guys come out now too. So I'm not the youngest anymore. We got guys like Tutu and Rene Bork and Tyler Boak. So it's a pretty good skate. You get a good sweat on and a little fun and competition, and then there's some characters out there too that make it a lot of fun just to come and visit with the guys and get a night at the rink. It's a good time.
Yeah, Mike Ridley, you remember that old name? So he played in Washington. He was a really good hockey player back in the day, but he kind of runs the league, and he made these rules where he keeps stats, and it's not like goals or assists, but it's if you win and you play up to 5, as many games as you can up to 5, and if you win 5-3, then all the guys on the winning team get 3 points. If you win 5-4, you get 2 points, and the losers get 1 point. That's an overtime win, he calls it, and then a shutout, you get an extra point, so you can make 4 points if you shut the other team out. And then he keeps a total of the whole year. And then we have a championship at halfway and a championship at the end with the high percentage winning guys versus the low percentage guys. So it makes for a lot of good competition and fun. Yeah.
So have you won? Have you been on the winning side?
Yeah, we call it, for some reason they called it, there's one guy, Tyler Fox. I think it was his idea to have this championship, so it's called the Foxy Cup after him. So we've had probably close to 10 Foxy Cup games over the last number of years because it's 2 a year. Maybe not that many, but yeah, my name's on it a few times.
Yeah. It's funny because so at the start of the night, Michael picked 2 guys who are equal in skill level, and they'll quickly draft the team. So every week the teams are a little different, and so. But then, you have the 2 top guys they're going to be on a winning team and a losing team. So at the end of the year, the high percentagers, and it's pretty even. Like the teams are even still. So there's a couple times it's been a little off, but they've made a couple trades to make it a little better. But
usually, when they pick captains, it's usually Cory and I against each other,
right.
And I screwed up a few times.
Who's your number one pick?
Well, that's the question, right? So, but the way we do it, we pick the other guy's team. So we got the shitty guys. We tease them like, but they're the good guys in the room too. But so we got obviously guys that have played a lot of hockey, and then it's a whole range of talent. But I think a few times there I screwed up, and Cory, if you're off one pick and then that kind of throws the whole thing, and then all of a sudden he's got 2 extra good players or whatever.
So you're trying
you got the
to
better
sewer him
Yeah,
the
try- yeah,
entire
exactly.
draft.
Well, I sewered myself, I think, is what happened. But
So you give
Anyways.
who you don't like playing with, you give them to Wade, right? Oh, I don't like playing with that guy. Yeah, I got to put him on your team.
so the first pick overall that night, usually, that's not the best player.
That's right. Yeah.
Anyways, it's fun.
It's a reverse draft.
Reverse draft.
Doesn't matter how old we get, we're all still kids at heart, eh?
That's right. Yeah, it's tons of fun. And the
Yeah.
emails, like, the banter back and forth and in the dressing room and outside the dressing room are just hilarious. Like, a couple of guys are so funny.
Well, I'm glad to know you guys are still having some fun in life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, life's good, man.
Well, I was saying to you boys before we started this is a pretty nice little view here. I had a good one yesterday, but this is far from Lloydminster.
Well, yeah, we've settled here. It's a good spot. I mean, yeah, you got the lake. The climate's great, and I don't know. It's a comfortable spot. I'm happy here. Miss a lot about Lloyd, obviously, but Hillmond area. But this has got a lot to offer. It's a great spot.
Yeah, I mean, the weather, you can't beat the weather, and plus, the skiing and in the wintertime, and we both enjoy that with our families. It's a great family sport that we love going up to Big White and doing with our kids, and Wade's up there too, and a bunch of the guys are getting spots up there. So you go up there and you're always seeing running at the guys, and then you come back for the summertime and you're on the lake. It's best of both worlds for sure.
Speaking of Hillmont for a quick sec, so I'm in Jim Pattison's office yesterday. He has a map of Saskatchewan on there, and if you can believe it, because this is saying something, because a lot of, Hillmont is like, you blink and you seriously miss it. Hillmont was on there, so Jim Pattison had no idea where it was. I'm like, it's right there. And I'm like, and it's there. It's actually on the map.
Throw a thumbtack in there for him.
That's right. Don't forget that spot. How has COVID been for you guys? Has it, for a lot of people, they're constantly on the go and here, there, everywhere. And COVID hit, locked everybody inside. Was that good, bad? Did you see a lifestyle change at all?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, so that hit in March, and it was, like we were just saying, it was almost 20 degrees here, and summer was full on spring for sure. So, I mean, I wasn't working. I wasn't missing any travel or anything that way. We were just kind of settled in and kept quite busy with the kids. It's hard to believe it's been 6-7 months that we've been doing it. We've had a few little trips just in BC driving around, but it's been good. I don't know. Getting out golfing, and I don't know. I mean, so fortunate that we're in the position we're in to not have to be stressed in a lot of ways. So it's been pretty good, and busy with the kids there, kind of getting them busy every day. We're getting sick of it now. It's going to be nice to get them back to school so we don't have to think of what to do with them every day. But other than that, there's a lot of fun for the most part.
It's kind of, the one good thing about COVID, you spend a lot more time with your family and saved a lot of money from spring hockey and spring volleyball. I was going to be gone seven weekends of the 8. We figured I was going to be in Vancouver or around this area for tournaments. So that was all, suspended. So we spent a lot more time here at the family, and life for us didn't change too much. We didn't travel though. Work back in Lloyd was shut right down, and there was no travel into Calgary for me. So, yeah, we just try to keep the kids busy. And
did you notice in town if there was, Kelowna's a tourist town? Was it dead, or was there still people rolling in?
Once summer hit, you started seeing people come in.
July started getting busy.
Yeah, I mean, well, what is it, the timeline here with the restaurants or whatever being closed and then getting open? I know a few good friends that run restaurants, and I think once summer hit, things were rolling pretty good. I think they're, after taking kind of April where nothing was open, May started loosening up, and I think come June, the summer's been it's been busy here. And
well, out east, I keep wanting to say west because normally I'm the west guy, but out here I'm the east guy. But out east, I guess, we always hear that it's dead out here. Oh, you got to come out to, Banff, Kelowna, wherever, right? Because there's not a whole lot of people traveling. And then you get out here and you're like, what the heck are they on? There's a ton of people out here.
Yeah, there's a lot of people here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
no,
was
for sure.
I don't know if it would have been as busy, but summer seemed pretty normal.
Yeah, I know some people couldn't find a place like a Airbnb or something. It was
It was
they
booked
couldn't-
solid.
Yeah, yeah. But a lot of people are just staying at home though. Maybe not going, not getting out too much. Like downtown, what wasn't as busy as it usually is. The times I went down there, but still on the lake is busy and lots of people are here.
What do you think of August hockey?
That's been good watching. Nice to see it on. I don't know. It's something to watch on TV anyway. I wonder, you do miss, well, I'm sure the players feel it, obviously, without having crowd in the stands, but probably lack a bit of intensity or energy in a building without the fans. But I've been enjoying watching it. It's been good to have it on, and yeah, it'll be a bit of a downer for the team that does win. I don't know. It'll just not the same, right? That imagine winning and then there's no one to celebrate with, and it's just like, so I think they'll lose out that way. But yeah, they're still going to be the best team at the end of the day. So that's something to say.
Yeah, I think they've done a good job with the TV part of it. Like as a fan, watching the games, I think they've done as good as they can, and it doesn't look. It looks pretty good, right?
It looks like a video game,
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
you just kind of like it's done supremely well, but it looks like a video game.
Yeah, yeah. But
Even the little crowd noise in the background when they score, and how they
Right.
have all their horns when they score their
Yeah,
goal
yeah,
songs. That's
yeah.
pretty.
Yeah.
They've done really well on the small details, keeping those in. As a fan, that's cool. As a player, I just can't imagine being in game, 6 of the playoffs and having no fans. You guys squared off against each other quite a bit there for about 3 straight years. It was Toronto, Ottawa, Toronto, Ottawa.
Yeah.
yeah, the fans are a big part. I mean, for playoffs,
Huge part.
I mean, how excited you are when you come out in your home building and the fans are just going nuts. I mean, that is something you can never, like, that high you get. Well, you can't duplicate that. Like, that is probably the only thing I miss in hockey is stepping out on that ice to start the game and the fans going crazy. That is so cool, and that's what they're missing. Yeah.
Oh, 100. That's exactly what I thought of too. And I kind of get shivers when you think of
Yeah.
it, when the lights are off and you come out and the crowd's just going nuts. It's like, yeah, that's what gets you going. So, yeah, they're not feeling that, and that's a big loss, I think, for sure, because that is a great feeling.
Yeah, but we talking about our Thursday night hockey group. Like sometimes it gets
Do you got the
competitive.
lights out and
Well, it
the
gets
fans are
competitive.
going nuts?
No, but it gets competitive, right? Like, and it's just ingrained in us when the Foxy Cup's on the line, the intensity picks up, and so I'm not surprised that it took maybe a little bit to get used to it, but the guys it's pretty intense now, I think.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Well, have you been watching the Dallas Colorado series? Man, that has been for no fans and kind of a weird atmosphere. They're going at it.
Yeah,
Like, that's a fun series to watch.
yeah.
There's some big boys. I thought Jamie Benn could have possibly killed McKinnon there the other night.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the new rules coming into effect where he kind of, to me, maybe I'm wrong, he kind of, the hip.
I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
really
no.
well, yeah.
Duchesne does one of these button hooks on the side that he's patented for, right? Comes in, dancing, does a button hook, and who's standing there but Mr. Ben, and he is cruising. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
McKinnon, yeah, right.
yeah.
No, yeah.
They just missed like
It was a heat-seeking missile, and it almost looked at the last second, maybe he let off a little bit because he's like, I'm probably going to kill this kid.
yeah.
And I'll probably be suspended for 27 games.
Yeah.
Well, that was the interesting part about COVID when they were playing all the old games,
Oh,
and all the stuff that guys were getting away with, and what we used to get away with. Like,
Oh, my God.
it was just kill or be killed, right? These playoff games they were so rough and so intense, like way rougher than.
what was the worst injury one of you guys fought through in the playoffs?
Well, I separated my shoulder the 1 year, and I guess that's the. big
Yeah,
one for me.
separated shoulder. I remember playing through a few games with that, and then a knee too. I kind of tweaked a knee and got a brace on it and battled through it. But yeah, that time of year, you kind of, if you think you can go, you go.
Yeah. I remember I was told you can't play unless you do 10 push-ups. So I couldn't. Yeah, I missed all the Islander. It was pretty good separation. So I missed all the Islanders series, and then I missed the first 2 games against Ottawa. Then I finally could do 10 push-ups, and I was back in the lineup.
How hard? How many times did you try to do push-ups then to try and build that, or you just waited and one day you walked in and grit through it?
I honestly couldn't even do a push-up when I started. So, yeah.
Well, it's funny. So that was my last game. Was so I hurt playing with Boston against Toronto. I think it was game 4. I got hit in Toronto, and then I separated my shoulder. So I kind of played the rest of that game, and then we come back to Boston for game 5. I don't play that. We lose. We're up 3-1. We lose game 5, and then we go back. Game 6, I get it frozen, and I play. We lose again, and it was a back-to-back game. Game 6, game 7. Actually, it happened that our plane broke down, so we were supposed to fly home to Boston after the game. And we get stuck in Toronto, so we have to get up in the morning, go home, fly in the morning, then play game 7 at night. And I'm like, my shoulder's just hurting. Like, you freeze it up, you're fine, play game 6. And then get home and, getting your dress shirt on, I couldn't lift my arm. So I get into the rink and, like, not feeling real good about it. They freeze it up. I do warm up, and I'm like, I can't. No, I mean, it was a liability, I think. Looking back, I wish I would have, I don't know, I never played again after that, so maybe I should have played. But the guy that went in for me ended up scoring a big goal that night, too. So then we went on a run, and I was kind of
Cory Krug, wasn't it?
Well, him and then Bartowski, too.
Oh, yeah, Bartowski.
Because I think Seidenberg might have been hurt, too. So there's a few guys that were out. But anyways, that was kind of how she all came to an end for me. And then I was kind of along for the ride and never got back in. And we ended up losing to Chicago in the final. But anyways, I digress. But yeah, a lot of guys play through stuff. And obviously they're healthy. This is a different year that way too. Everyone's healthy coming in, but I'm sure they're getting dinged up, daily, on a daily basis.
Have you heard anything from inside the bubble? I've seen a couple of things on SportsCenter, I think, about kind of their routine and what they have to do and the COVID testing and how they're all separated. And have you heard anything from any of the players inside what it's like?
Well, I was texting with Corey Schwab, who's the goalie coach for Phoenix. Him and I are still friends, and he was enjoying it because he goes, all we do is eat, sleep, and play or watch hockey. So he goes, I'm enjoying it, but because he'll go to all the games and watch the games, but he goes, as players, I think it's pretty boring for them. But you might have.
Well, Mike Smith's got a place here, the goalie with the Oilers,
right? So
I ran into him, and I think the young guys, I think they get and play their video games, so I think they keep busy that way. But I know he was. I think some of the older guys, they too much time in their hands, so they're drinking, having too many beer. But I think they all hang out. I mean, they're in the same hotel, and there's no one else around. So that's another bad. You're kind of right shoulder to shoulder, or you're kind of around the other team all the time, which would be kind of
awkward,
annoying, and awkward. Yeah.
Are there any families there? I don't even know if there's.
No, I don't think there's.
I think.
I
think Daryl was telling me that as teams lose out and there's less people in the bubble, then they can start bringing families in. But I want to say that's maybe the semifinals, something like that.
Maybe, yeah. That would make sense.
They have talked about that. Yeah. I don't know.
I haven't heard if that's actually going to happen or not, but that had been mentioned.
Yeah.
If this was back when you guys were kids and you were, now you're a young guy going into the bubble. Go back to when you were kids, and Atari, I would assume, was maybe the first gaming console you both played. What would have been the game of choice you were crushing out back then if you got stuck in a hotel room?
Well, it's funny. They have Atari 2600s that sell in the store now.
Do they really?
Yeah, and they have all the games. And I bought my son one of those. Maybe I bought it for myself, but
did he actually play it?
Yeah, we were playing it all Christmas time.
Really?
Oh, it's hilarious! All these old games, Decathlon and River Raid and Chopper Command. So I was killing them in all the games. It was awesome. He's like, I can't believe this is a game. All the old Atari sports games, hilarious.
I can't remember which Atari games we would have played. Was it Centipede?
Yeah, Centipede.
Yeah.
Space Invaders.
Wasn't there Jungle Gym?
Yeah, I think there was a Pitfall was the one.
Pitfall, yeah.
We were just talking, so I was mentioning we're doing a reno at our house. And so I remember, I think it was in the I remember this arcade game. I think it was in Paradise Hill at the one general store. But remember that it was like Summer Olympics one where they have all those different. But I remember some of the guys had it figured. It was a 2-button thing. You had to run back and forth. But guys had like the plastic spoon.
Or a pencil or something. Yeah.
So I want to, if you guys keep an eye out for that, because I might want to put one in my newly renovated basement.
Nice.
It'd be a fun little game to have down there.
I'm sure if you searched Amazon, you could probably find something,
sure,
or eBay.
Yeah, for sure.
Somewhere there's something sitting out there.
Yeah.
I betcha.
Well, I remember the decathlon, the pole vault I was showing my son. I said, let's just see if this cheat still works. And you pole vaulted and you're going, I just kept pressing the fire button. And the guy would just launch through the screen. So, we broke the game, Dad.
I don't even know. Do they have? This is. I'm dating myself now. Do they even have game cheats anymore? I mean, all games, all the way through like Sega Genesis and everything, always had like if you press the certain buttons a certain way.
I'm sure they do.
All of a sudden, Mario, you hop through the right spot, and all of a sudden, boom, you're onto the.
Well, and then also you'd get like how many men you could get for Mario, and that you'd get that to the final, and then you'd get that turtle. You'd jump and kind of get stuck on the stair, and then you'd get like 200 lives or whatever. Remember that? Good old times.
But when you guys were young, breaking into the NHL, did you? I mean, it was well past the Atari by then. But did you guys play games on the road?
Sega, yeah.
You played Sega?
When I was at Atlanta, so minors. There were lots of downtime in the minors and touring. I mean, we'd have 15-day road trips, and we'd bring the Sega with us and have you could play 2-on-2, so hockey and football, and Pierre-Luc Dubois. His dad was my roommate, so him and I would play a guy named Jason Ruff and Eric Sharon, and we would play hockey and football against them all the time. But that was in the minors. Once we got to the big leagues, we left the toys at home.
You left the toys at home?
They brought the toys with them. Yeah, I was never a big gamer.
We're never a big gamer, but you knew all about the Mario cheats.
Well, of course, back Nintendo when I was 12 years old, we knew all about that. But I remember playing the Sony or the PlayStation Golf and Medal of Honor. That was the 2 games I remember for a few years playing. But
Tiger Woods Golf.
Tiger Woods Golf.
Yeah, Tiger Vision. Mm-hmm. Everybody remembers that.
Oh yeah.
I look at the games nowadays, and they're almost too realistic.
Yeah,
that's
no
crazy.
kidding.
Play NHL, and
I haven't played for so long but I can imagine.
Does it hurt your brain knowing that kids now can make millions of dollars playing video games? Like they can use that against you. Dad, I'm just working on my craft.
So my son keeps telling me that, but doesn't work for like his attitude. It's funny how the kids' attitudes change depending on what games they're playing. Like I find that Fortnite and the Call of Duty games, his attitude changes. He turns into a little donkey. So we have to live. As soon as that happens, games are done for a few days here. Yeah. So trying to keep him aware of his attitude when the whole thing.
Well, same. Yeah. Roadblocks. That's what our kids are into. But yeah, they love it. And then it's like you said though, they'll go on and YouTube and watch other people play this game. And like, I don't get that, but it's a big thing. And I don't know, even kids. Obviously, I've seen different stories about these guys playing and making like 7 figures, like their world championships, and they fill out arenas for people to come watch. But there's also the guys that make couple thousand a month. Like you can do that too if you have enough followers. So it's interesting.
Well, I think there's been a few NHL guys who've had some tough years, maybe a few too many hours of Fortnite. And I know there's some guys that have been addicted to Fortnite in the league. Yeah.
To Fortnite?
Yeah.
I still don't get Fortnite.
Who was it? The one player, was it the defenseman, the Finnish kid with Calgary, that there's something about him. I think he was a Tri-City player, but there was something come out. He was like too much Fortnite. Anyways, I'm starting rumors, but I'm sure that's the case. And some guys, you don't sleep, like you're up all night playing these games. Well, how do you think you're going to react to that?
We had a guy in college who used to play online poker all through the night.
Oh yeah.
One morning we woke up and he was 10 grand up. He won 10 grand through the night. and by like 10 in the morning, he'd lost it all again. It's funny how certain guys just get sucked into that world.
Oh, I know. Well, it is, I guess,
Addiction. Yeah.
A different form, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There was in Brandon, after I left the VLTs, some guys were just spending hours in front of these things and addicted to them.
Yeah. Well, in these games, they have these psychologists that work for these game companies and figure out how to addict the kids. Like they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, making sure it's going to be addicting.
Well, all they got to do is go back to Atari or whatever, and that was addicting back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Mom's yelling at you to get outside, and you're one more
game.
couple more minutes, Mom.
Oh, I hear that a lot.
How much fun would no reporters be? You guys dealt with, Toronto is an absolute nightmare, but in general, I mean, New York City, both of you, both of you have played in Canadian markets. I mean, I'm assuming Ottawa was no cakewalk. How much fun would it be right now to have no reporters coming in and the locker room just be the locker room?
Well, it's funny because usually I think they have access pretty much to the whole room. Obviously, they usually just stay in the dressing room and wear your equipment. But I remember Al Strachan coming back and he's a Hall of Fame writer for Toronto. He was kind of at the end of his run, kind of in the early 2000s, but I remember him walking back to where the guys are dressing just because he could, and he was like kind of pushing his weight around, kind of puffing his chest. But for the most part, I don't have any problem with the report. Like a lot of them are doing their job, and there's the guys that are negative and they're dinks or whatever, and they're writing because that's what it takes to get a viewer too. So you kind of somewhat appreciate that, but for the most part, I get along good with all the reporters.
But how much fun would it be to have none of them in there? Would it just be enjoyable? I don't mean it as a negative to the reporters.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because seriously, you're rushing to get undressed.
And how much fun is it in your Thursday night hockey league to just sit and have a BS and not have a
point.
Well, at the World Championships, that was the fun part, right?
Yeah,
there was nobody.
Right.
There was no reporters. The guys were called out just like they are now to the media scrums, and you're just sitting there, and you pop open a beer, and you're sitting there and it's awesome, and that's why everybody loves going to the World Championships and that camaraderie you get, and it would be great to just sit there with the guys, nobody bugging you, and just
enjoy the dressing room.
Yeah, now that I think of it, you do rush out of there. You're dressed, and there's people around you. There's no time to reflect, like for 10 minutes. Like they're in there in 5 minutes, basically. And
it's a cattle call. Like in Toronto, they open the doors and just
mayhem.
They're just running. They're literally running and throwing elbows, trying to get to the
whatever the story of the night is, who they want to talk to.
Think about it from their shoes. They got to run in there. They got to get something. Then they got to go back to wherever they got to go. Put it out. Like they're up till probably 1 a.m. just trying to get that all out.
Yeah, it's not easy for them for sure. And they're like Wade's saying, like they got to have something for them to sell papers, right? So it's got to be a little edgy, usually, and so controversial is always.
Can we get a little controversy on here, guys? Could we fire it up a little bit? I tease. Controversy sells. We all know that.
Yeah. Now there's been some guys I dislike, and I've told them. I had one opportunity right in my career to tell a guy what I really thought of him, so that made me feel good.
Reporter?
Yeah, I cornered him and said, I thought he was a piece of crap, and he was looking.
Did that come out in the paper?
Oh no, this was a little hidden. He was walking by me, and I just kind of cornered him, and I knew I was done, so I'm like, it's time to tell you what I think. So. Made me feel good.
Oh wow! I probably wouldn't. There's a few that I could have said that to.
Yeah.
Sure, but I didn't get the chance.
Yeah, I just had the opportunity, and I thought I'd take it.
Who's gonna win? Who's your picks for winning the cup this year? Who's your team coming out of the East, West, and who do you think's winning?
Philly, Vegas.
Philly, Vegas, eh?
Yeah.
Wow, Philly. Yeah.
Philly. Yeah.
Well, yeah. that's who I kind of liked coming into it, and so I'm going to stick with that one.
You know what? It's Dallas. I really like watching Dallas. I love that Heiskanen, that number 4. It's just so good. But between them and Vegas, for sure. Vegas, another great team. Just up and down the lineup. There's no real weaknesses there.
Isn't it unbelievable that an expansion team can be like that good?
Yeah, I don't think Seattle's going to get that opportunity, are they?
I know they took full advantage of all the rules or whatever that were in their favor, and I think they did such a good job too. And I've talked about this before with just, I know the scouting they did and the diligence they put into getting the right people there too, like just the character that they assembled with the talent to boot. Then they've added guys like Stone, and Stastny was a free agent, I think, after the fact too, wasn't he? And
Yeah, Pacioretty.
yeah,
Well, no, and net they got Leonard, right?
yeah.
I mean, they got Fleury and Leonard, and Leonard's the guy right now.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I totally cut you off. So you got Vegas and, or you got Dallas?
Well, I think Vegas is going to be Dallas too, and I like I'm going for Tampa.
Tampa.
Yeah. See what the score is right now, but
Well, that's what I was going to say. What is the score right now?
Update here.
I don't know if Stamkos ever going to come back, but
1-0 Tampa right now. Would you guys saw them? Everybody's seen the players walk out in the NBA, and then everything filtered across from there. And I don't know. Maybe somebody can tell me different, but that's the first time I believe the players have ever walked out of a game like that. And it hasn't been like a forfeit or I don't even know. Like it's pretty powerful when the players can do that. What's your guys' thought on it? I mean, I think I shouldn't say everybody. Everybody has their thoughts on what's going on in the States, but some of the videos that have come out of some of the things going on there are pretty shocking. And so what did you think of the players, siding with all the other leagues and postponing or canceling games? Like, would that ever been possible back in the day?
well, I think just the media, like the access to the filming and all that, like stuff for sure went on like that back in the day, but it wasn't
Never caught
never
or
caught
captured.
captured. So, I mean, it's it's terrible to see. My wife being an ex-police officer, so we've had lots of conversations about what's going on, and she sees it from a police point of view, and she's got some great points. You just don't know what the whole video. A lot of times they show the video, but you don't know the whole scenario, and that's where the media comes in and sometimes skews it. But some of the things we've seen is things could have been done differently for sure, right? And it's just horrible to see, and it's so ingrained in their society down there. I don't know. It's going to take years and years and years for it to resolve itself. It's not going to happen overnight.
And I'm totally okay with them making that stand. I think, like you said, it's going to take years and years. And if it's this generation, if there's kids now seeing what's going on, and maybe that's making an effect on them, and then down the road you'll see the change, hopefully at some point. But if there's a young 10-year-old kid from whatever, a white kid, call it, and he sees this happening, maybe that affects his change. Maybe his dad was a little different on the other side, and everything's hopefully moving the right way in the psyche of these people, and even ourselves too. Like the change that's happened in Canada, it obviously is not the same US. They've that's an ingrained thing. It's a lot different in Canada, but like even my kids, like they're learning about this stuff now, and they're going to be more accepting and understanding to this type of stuff. So it'll probably be a generation, but by the these professional athletes taking a stand and doing this stuff, I think it's only going to create positive things for the next generation, and hopefully they're aware of the issues and they can the
voices they carry.
Yeah.
These guys are everybody knows who these guys are. Maybe not the hockey players, but the NBA guys. A lot of the kids know who they are. So when they stand up to something, they're, as a role model, you're thinking, that's a good thing to stand up for, and hopefully changes their point of view.
Because just by doing it, I don't think it's changing anything like right today, but yeah, I think it sends the right message. So it's such a messed up stuff going on that it's just tough to watch those things you see.
A lot of fans, whether we're talking baseball, NBA, NHL, just sports fans in general, want their players to just shut up and play the sport. You two are players. I'm a player. Heck, supposedly all I do is a hockey podcast, which I laugh about. But I've always said, don't tell me about it. Like you hear superstars say their thoughts on politics or on climate change or whatever. Show me with your actions. So I was really impressed that the NBA, because whether they know it or not, by doing what they're doing opens them up to some risk. Some if you don't finish playing out the season, maybe TV deals don't go the right way, maybe that money falls sideways, maybe your salaries get cut. You just don't know where that leads, right? And so by them not playing, I thought it was, there's a lot of people out there that didn't like it. They're like, get back to playing the games and just leave that alone and whatever. But if you are feel that passionate about something, I thought it was good on them that they, spoke about it. And the only thing more powerful than words is actions. And they went and decided that we're going to walk out of games. I mean, there's got to be some owners who are absolutely furious right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard for us to put ourselves like some of these neighborhoods and some of these areas in the US where they're feeling what they're feeling and been repressed or oppressed for so long that we don't know what that feels like or what they're going through. So you got to kind of respect their feelings or their point of view. And like you said, I mean, it's a couple days where they make a stand and obviously everyone's thinking about it. But at the end of the day, they're going to move forward, and it doesn't help anyone to sit the rest of the year out and throw in the towel for the season for basketball or hockey or baseball, whatever. So life's got to go on. But yeah, hopefully, you want to see change. There's a lot of things that could get better, and hopefully stuff like this is going to make a difference. It's you hear some of the stuff going on like in Portland and Seattle, and there's an uprising, and who knows what's going to not that I'm a big political guy, but after this election in the fall, what if Donald maybe the whole country could be up in flames of who depending on who comes in.
You just know that there's going to be something.
Time. It's a crazy time.
You just the gun laws. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, and my wife was saying, the cops are scared. Like police are scared down there because they don't know what a guy's got. Like,
what is one occupation you don't want to be right now? You don't want to be a police officer.
No.
Their enrollment numbers are going to go right through they're not going to have anybody.
Yeah, and she says, she goes, you don't defund the police. You got to give them more funds to more training, but they're all unionized. You know how unions. I mean, there's good things about unions, but the bad things about unions are tough to get rid of guys. So there's a bad cop. It's tough to fire that guy. As much as you like to do it, and that's where they have to, they got to be diligent, and bad things happen on the streets, and they gotta put their thumb down and fire these guys.
Yeah, and get them out of a role of authority.
I mean, all the little bad, there's way more good cops than there is bad cops, or did I say that right?
Yeah, way more good than bad.
Good than bad. And we need them. We need them to to hold the law. I mean, things would go real sideways if we didn't have police. I mean, nobody would. I mean, everybody's seen that movie where there's one day of
the Wild West.
Yeah, and I can't remember what the movie's called. It was not a good movie, but I mean, everybody.
The Purge.
The Purge. Yeah. So I mean,
I'm up on my pop culture.
Yeah. we need police, but we need good police, right?
Yeah. Well, and we all know one bad apple can do
That's right,
a lot of damage,
100%.
especially nowadays with social media promoting it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at the same time, good comes of it, too, because otherwise, it was probably going on for the last 100 years and nobody was seeing it. Now you're seeing it. It's pretty eyebrow-raising. Mm-hmm. Now, talking hockey playoffs, you two played each other 3 years in a row, one for Ottawa, one for Toronto. What's some fun thoughts from back then? I know, Wade, I think we've talked about this.
I don't think I was anything but thoughts.
That's right.
God.
Frustrating thoughts.
Were you there for 3? I think Ottawa, Toronto played 4 times.
Yeah, but
you were
three.
The first 3 years.
2000, 2001, 2002. Toronto wins 4 games to 2, 4-0, and then in Game 7 they win 4. They win the series 4-3.
Well, what year?
And they were pretty much the same teams. I'll give you the breakdown of some of the top scorers. In the first year on Toronto, you had Steve Thomas, Berzin, Sundin, Tucker, Caberlet. Wendell Clark was there that year. Yeah. Ty Domi. They had Curtis Joseph all 3 years. They had Pat Quinn all 3 years. And then as the next 2 years, you had guys like Gary Roberts and Shane Corson, that kind of group. Yeah. Alexander McGillney the third year.
Well, just hearing those names, veteran team, right? Like, because a lot of the play, like we'd outshoot them. Cujo was really good, like a few of those games, but they knew how to win. Even Tom Fitzgerald, I remember him being on the team.
Yeah,
like in
the 4th year.
Was he the last year?
Yeah.
Okay. But the guys like that, I'm just thinking him and obviously Roberts, Sundin, Corson, Tucker. I don't know. They're just
character guys.
Character guys that, and we were learning too a lot. I think that we.
Here's what you had, Wade, on your side. Alfredson. The first year you had Alfredson, Prospel, Juno, Hossa, York, McEachern, Dackel, Tom Barrasso, and net. After that, it starts to you get Alfredson, Hossa, Fisher, Yash, and Bonk, Havlat, Chara, Patrick Leem for 2 years, and you had Jacques Martin as your coach all 3.
Time,
yeah.
I remember I was hurt the one time, so I can't.
That was the difference in the series 6. Right there, eh, Cory? Redden's out.
The year we lost in 6, I broke my foot the last game of the year, so I missed that one.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
I was there for the sweep against. That's when Cory scored in Game 3.
That year we were big underdogs. They finished real high during the season.
And then Game 7. Well, the last 2 times we played them lost in Game 7. Game 6, though, I think it was that year where Ricard Pearson hit. We were up 2-0 at home for Game 6, up 3-2 in the series. First time I ever seen blood cut on Ty Domi's face. Ricard Pearson just gave him a little push from behind at the half wall in our end. He goes right into the top of the boards. Big cut, 5-minute major. We're up 2-0 this time. They score a couple power play goals to tie it. And end up squeaking out a win at the end of the night. But we were in control of the game, and like I was only in the first period, but that 5-minute major was a turning point, and then I think he shut us out in Game 7. We couldn't. Yeah, they just found knew a way to win, and we couldn't get over that hump. And still.
Well, we just in our dressing room we were always thinking, okay, we just be physical on these guys, wear these guys down, and you could kind of see how. The start of the playoff, like the first year of the playoffs, they had a lot of European guys, a lot of skilled players, and by the time the 3rd and 4th year, they had a lot more toughness in the lineup. Like
Chris Neal, and Fisher.
So they brought Char in, so you could see them trying to match. They always knew they're gonna, line up against the Leafs,
run into the Maple Leafs.
That's one thing too. That was. Your neighbor Simmer was on our team the one year. Might have been the last year when you were there.
Yeah.
But he didn't play we had him and Lecision, I think would have, just tough D-men that play the game right and move the puck. I think, we needed guys like that, and we had, nothing against him, but Brian Pothier is a small puck moving guy who could play and good power play guy, but we just, and then we lose in 7, so it's such a fine line. But it was that toughness, I think, especially at the start. I know Corson was he was all over Yash and
right.
And Yash just totally folded his tent up, and
that was his role.
We lost
Pat's
straight.
You're going to shadow Yashin, and every time Yashin stepped on the ice, Corson was on the ice, Bonk just like, or Yash just said, I've had enough.
Yeah. But it's funny looking back, and it's frustrating now when you think of it, but really that's the best time of the year. And we had good teams, but yeah, we didn't have that extra level when the playoffs hit. We just kind of shied away too. We learned that, but as a whole, as a team, we just had to kind of figure that out. And then we had a few runs or whatever, like guys like Bonk and Hossa, that they were really, they ended up being very good playoff guys at the end, but we couldn't score. I mean, it was tough. You guys made it so tough on us that we couldn't get through it. So,
and goaltending, like Curtis,
goaltending was big.
Cujo was, he was one of the best, right? And Lalim always seemed to let one,
a few times.
maybe questionable one in, right?
Well, yeah,
and that's all it takes. All it takes is one goal in the playoffs, right?
Well, we'd outshoot them,
yeah,
35-20, and then we lose 2-1. It's like you just sit there after the game, like, what the hell, like.
You got to find a way to score.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah.
Well, I had Sean Hill had sent me in this video. You remember this one, Cory?
Oh yeah.
Hammerhand.
Well, that was so funny.
Remember Hammerhand from Slapshot?
From Slapshot.
Well, and I kind of gave Alfie a little shot in the back and pushed him into Cujo. And
so for the listener,
Dackle, I think.
On
this play?
Were you on Alfie? Yeah.
It was Alfredson. For you listeners, were watching the video.
I'm pretty sure it was Alfredson.
Of Curtis Joseph freaking out after Cory pushes what looks to be Alfredson in very lightly, and it'll slow it down here.
It was funny.
Mick Magoo.
Yeah, Mick
Magoo.
So
no helmet on.
Across you, right in the middle of that. I didn't even know.
Oh yeah, I cross-checked him right on the.
And there's your buddy Rob Zomner.
He was on those who scored. And when Cujo was writing his book, they called me up and we talked for like a couple hours. The author and Cujo and myself just trying to recap things, and this was a part of the book that we talked about, and he probably didn't know that I cross-checked him.
Here it is.
And here it is in slow-mo.
Oh, it is Alfie.
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
But Alfie was one of those guys, right? He always was. He was one of those few Europeans that would go to the net, and he played hard, right?
Well, that's another play with Toronto when he rammed Tucker into the wall.
Right. Yeah.
That was the year you're gone, though. Was it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, a lot of stuff's up.
But Mick Magoo unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. But we're in Edmonton, and the guy's in the corner, and I'm going after him. Well, he steps in front of me, and I just bowled him over, like purposely, just bowled him over because he was in my way and was trying to get to the guy, and I just sent him flying. And I went to the bench and just kind of grabbed a bottle of water and was like, had my head down and just taking a sip and not making eye contact. Corner of my eye, he's just staring at me. He's going up the ice and just like. I was just kind of giggling to myself a little bit, thinking back to that play. But
Speaking of Curtis Joseph, what did he say after his freak out? Did he come in the dressing room and lose it, or was he?
So I don't remember. I don't remember if we talked about it after, but he just lost an edge there, right? And then everything.
I know, but he throws his gloves. What was the last time you saw? The only time I can think of something remotely close is when Dominic Hasek threw his blocker at playing for the Buffalo Sabres. You know what I'm talking about? I think it was playing Dallas maybe in the finals. Threw his blocker off.
I don't know.
Make a save?
No, after somebody bumped him. Who was that?
Oh, I forget. I don't know. Yeah, he could probably snap.
Well, you got to play with the Dominator.
Yeah.
How was the Dominator?
Well, he was an interesting guy. Like, yeah, and I just remember him after games. Like even in practice, it was hilarious because he'd just throw all his stuff in a big heap in the dressing room, and then the trainer would have to come and hang it and everything like that. But he was just, I don't know. Didn't really get to know him too well. It was only kind of half a year. He kind of got injured at the Olympic break and never played much after that. But I just remember him after games. loved going in the hot tub in the sauna. He'd have a beer, he'd be on his phone texting and just kind of so chill and relaxed. But yeah, kind of an interesting guy.
Goalies, eh?
Goalies. But like as far as like remembering him in practice and how he competed and how he worked so hard, and it's unorthodox as we all know, but he just you could see the passion and the love, like you know why those guys stick around and so good for so long. He was just so good. It was unfortunate we didn't have him when we needed him.
Yeah.
Well, I got a bunch of listeners that commented a bunch of questions. They were curious
How
about
about those pictures you posted of us?
Oh,
Oh my gosh! Like how bad were those?
What is yours from?
Oh, I think that was my first year in Tampa.
Oh, is it? Mine was, I remember.
Sans gel, no gel in the hair.
Mine had gel because that was a picture taken at, we went to Kitchener for the Islanders, our first training camp, and then they do the headshots, and they had these two hairdressers there doing everyone's hair, and I was like 18. I'm like, okay, she's gonna do my hair, but she did it like that big.
yeah.
My hair probably doesn't look much different now. But I was like, she's finished, and I'm going for my picture, and I look in the mirror, I'm like, that's not how I usually do my hair, but whatever. I guess I'll just keep my mouth shut and get my picture taken.
I started by like grabbing a couple like action shots. Oh, I'll put some action shots, and then I kept searching, and I came across Cory's first. I'm like, or we could use that. That is awesome. So then all I had to do is just find one of you, Wade, and it was perfect. Two little kids coming on the show.
We got a lot of hits.
Yeah,
on
it certainly
Twitter.
did. It certainly did. Yeah, people enjoy the early photos.
Yeah.
Well, Jen Gilbert wanted to know who, and I've probably asked you both this on separate episodes, but if it is a recurring question, just bear with me. But Jen Gilbert wanted to know who the best locker room leader you experienced was. Who was the best guy, leader-wise, in a dressing room?
I was fortunate enough to play with quite a few guys. Steve Yzerman, Messier, Matt Sundin. I mean, Jason Smith. They were all excellent leaders. Yeah, really good leaders.
Oh, Smith and Edmonton.
Yeah, and you know, but one of the best, and I want to give this guy props, is a kid that I coached in West Kelowna when we won the national championship. A kid named Kyle Marino, and man, oh man, he was one of the best captains that I had seen. I could put him into the group of those guys.
In the group with Messier?
Honest to God, like for maybe not at that level, but for
he's walking on water listening to this right
for
now.
For a 19-year-old kid to be that good a leader, and he had some really good assistant captains, Kyler Hope being a Lashburn boy, and Rylan Yaremko, another great kid from Grand Prairie. Those guys were just such great leaders, and it was unbelievable how they just controlled the guys in the dressing room and had everybody so tightly knit and wouldn't let things get away, and they knew what to do on the ice to win, and it was really neat. But I mean, all the folklore about Yzerman, Messier, Lindros
lived up to
Sundin.
expectation.
I mean, yeah, you could go on and on. Yeah, about those guys, how they just controlled the locker room, and Matt's in Toronto with all the characters that we had, and the egos in our room, and Matt's is, just was able to control all those guys, just being Matt's and just being a good, all the Swedish guys are always good guys, but Matt's with his play, with his work ethic and all that, he was just able to keep everybody in line.
Yeah. Well, I've been sitting here thinking about, there's a bunch of great leaders I've played with too, and I look back, obviously Alfie, like he was the guy, led more by example than anything probably, but he had a presence to him and a bit of a strut about him, like a confidence and a cockiness that I think helped our group a lot. For the short time I was in New York, or even shorter with this guy, but Jody Shelley came to our team, and he just had a presence in the room. Like, he was a tough guy, but just a guy like that had a loud voice, and even before the games, like, I just remember having such a great feeling when he was there to just say the right thing and and even to call guys out, like, like not in a bad way, but just like he was always he kept it real and kept the group really loose. I really liked him. And now looking and being close with Nick Foligno, he was young when he came in the league when I was in Ottawa, but watching him with Columbus, and he's I guess a cousin-in-law. He's my wife's cousin, so I got to know him really well, and he's a great buddy, and he's just got so much personality and such a great worker and talented guy. I feel like he's just kind of every guy too, like in the locker room, can relate with everyone, and we'll fight, we'll score, we'll do everything, and talks. He's always got verbal diarrhea, so sometimes but he's always says the right, like he's always outgoing and doing, whatever he can for anyone. So yeah, I really like him. Love the guy. He's a great leader.
Stephen Larry asks, who is the best goalie you ever played with or was the toughest against? So best with and against.
Goalie.
Well, Cujo was the best. I mean,
just unbelievable.
One of the best of all time, right?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of good goalies against me. Didn't score too many goals, but
who is back in your day the Carey Price?
Hossack was
that guy.
Yeah, he was that guy.
Yeah.
Because you watch
lots too. He was in Buffalo, so
you watch Montreal this year. They had really no business being there, but between Weber and Carey Price, man, they can do hard to get around Weber, and then when you do, you still got to score on an absolute elite talent.
Yeah. No, Price is unreal. Big guy too. Like standing next to him, like he doesn't look as big as he is on the ice. He doesn't seem so big, but he's a big man. And I mean, we talk about Patty Lalim. He had some great years in Ottawa, and just love the guy too. He's such a good dude. And when you think of goalies, sometimes they're quirky and you can't talk to him during game days, stuff like that. But he was such an easygoing guy and a great guy in the locker room that he was one of my favorite to play with for sure.
Was there a goal Dominic Hasek against then as well?
Oh yeah, and Cujo, when the times that stick out are the playoffs, right? These guys were so good against us.
I guess we should throw Marty Brodeur in there too.
He was okay.
Yeah, he was. It's funny though, not that we lost to them. We beat them once in the playoffs, but we always seem to do fairly good. I guess we probably played a similar style as them in Ottawa, but we had some success against Jersey. But he was, Marty Brodeur. Yeah, he's probably the best.
Here's a better question. Who had the weirdest, out of all the goalies you played with, had the weirdest quirk where you're like, what was that about?
Ronnie Tugnut was hilarious. And you think of talking about the size of Price as a goalie, and Tugger, you'd think he's a little...
He's my size.
Yeah, and skinny. Not much to him. But he was hilarious because he was so focused and mentally, on a game day, he was just kind of in his own zone, and you got to know his whole routine by the end of the year, how he did everything, how he taped his stick, how he, in between periods, his pregame meal, he'd always do the same thing, make his little plate of food and stuff like that. But he was, I'd call that quirky, the way he operated. But he got in the zone and focused, did what he had to do, but we kind of poked fun on him a lot because of it.
Corey Schwab, he wouldn't say a thing. He wouldn't talk to anybody during the game day. Not a thing. You couldn't talk to him. He wouldn't say a thing. And his same thing. He just, chicken and rice, that's all he'd eat. And guys would start bugging him, try to get him to talk, and he'd just look at you with a scowl, But he eased up as he got older, for sure. But I played with some Mark Fitzpatrick, this guy. And I was watching the junior practices, and guys are always shooting high on these goalies now. You could never do that. When I got in the league, these goalies would come after you with their stick. They were going to take your head off if you shot high. And Mark Fitzpatrick was one of these guys, and he'd snap on a second. And guy would go high, and he'd be chasing guys around the ice with his stick, ready to take their heads off. And goalies it was good. I tell goalies now, I'm like, don't let those guys. You got to say something. The guy's gonna keep shooting high until stop them somehow, right? But Fitzy, he was pretty crazy.
Well, we traded for Tom. Well, actually, Tugnut
Oh,
for
Tom
Barrasso.
Barrasso, yeah, he was another guy.
So when we've heard the stories, he's coming from Pittsburgh, and this obviously after their heyday there, but heard the stories about him, and he could fire the puck too. I think he'd shoot pucks back at guys in the corner. If there's one go by his ear, he'd shoot it right back at the other guy's ear.
He could shoot the puck hard.
But yeah, his first practice with us, there was no high shots at all. But yeah.
Knowing all these quirks, all these different goalies, did guys have some fun with it? Was there any pranks pulled on them, or the odd time if a guy was like, screw it, I'm putting one in his head?
They would always bug Belfour. Belfour was real quirky too. He had his equipment all set up, and the guys were telling me, I wasn't with him in Toronto, but after a while, guys were like would move a piece of equipment somewhere, or just doing little things.
Well, you don't want to do too much.
No, they're kind of your bread and butter.
Just poke fun. Yeah, it was yeah. Anyways,
Did you
don't
guys
want to get him off there. You don't want to rattle him too much.
Yeah, on a game, in the playoffs, I get it, but in the middle of the season when it's starting to drag on a little bit, and he's got his pads, I could see having a little bit of fun, moving his glove just a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he was high maintenance. Old Eddie, he had the trainers, in the rink after games till 1 a.m, working on his skate blades or his glove or whatever. Yeah, he was a trainer's nightmare, that guy.
Oh wow.
What was the best prank you guys ever saw? Or were there's always one, maybe there's a few, on a team who loves to do a little bit of playing around with guys. Whether it's, I've heard a lot about the skating, cutting the skate laces and things like that. Is there anything that you guys used to see, or was there a guy that used to like to have a little bit of fun in the locker room?
I'm just thinking of the one instance in the hotel. I think we had a day off, or was it playoffs in between the days or something? But I think Chris Neal, somehow he got another guy's room key, but he ended up getting, I forget how it exactly went, but he got all the mattresses and furniture from another room, and he just stacked everything in one guy's hotel room, just like move everything down the hallway and just totally to the ceiling, floor to ceiling in this guy's room. So he gets back to his hotel at the end of the day, and it's just, he can't even get in. So just stupid things like that. Or
Todd Simpson told me one good one that he did, and he was always really good at the pranks. I never played with him, but he just lives down the street, and he got traded from Arizona to somewhere, and he went to the rink. All the guys were out of practice. Well, he took all the key rings of all the guys, and this was before the fobs and stuff, and had took all the keys off the rings and put them in
the house keys.
Yeah, like house keys, car keys, everything. Put them in a big
bucket.
bag, in a bucket or whatever. And so after the practice, all the keys were sitting in this bucket, all messed up. So it took him a long time to. That was one of the best I've heard. Mark Bergevin, though, he was the funniest guy that I ever played with, and the stuff he would do. And he got me one time. Him and I were roommates, and we were in Philadelphia, and we missed a wake up call, and we didn't get a chance to eat breakfast. We woke up, didn't have a chance to eat breakfast. Had to go just jump on the bus, just made the bus, and go straight to the rink. Well, being the rookie, he was blaming me for not having the wake up call. So that night I'm like, hey, I need a wake up call. Yeah. So go to bed, and he wakes me up. Crosser, we didn't get a wake up call again. I'm like, what? And I look, and it's like 10 to 9, and I'm like, oh geez. So the bus was at 9 o'clock, so I'm slowly getting dressed, and he's hurrying me along. Come on, get ready. And the elevator was just outside our door, so he gets in the elevator, and I come out, and he's, oh, my glasses. And I said, well, I'll hold the elevator. He goes, no, go down and make sure the bus doesn't leave. So I go down, and I'm walking through, and I'm tired. And I'm looking around. There's really nobody in the lobby, and I go out, and the bus isn't there. So I'm like, oh. So now I'm mad. So I go to the guy at the lobby, and I'm like, hey, we didn't get a wake-up call again. And he's looking at the list, and he's like, well, we got you here, Mr. Cross, at quarter to 9 or 8:30, whatever it was. And I said, yeah, nobody called us. He goes, well, it's only 7. So So I'm just like, oh man, I've been had, right? So I go up and Burge is back in his room. He's under the covers and he's just giggling away. So that was the best prank on me. That was a good one.
Good, clean fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
You guys, who was on the road? Who was the worst roommate to get stuck with? Did you have roommates, or were you always?
Yeah.
Was there a guy who's snoring terrible, or
Jeff Reese. Jeff Reese, another goalie. Talk about quirky. Oh my gosh. So we go have our pregame meal, and we're getting ready to have a nap. I think it was yeah. And he cranks. He goes, "I like it cold in here," and he's wearing a turtleneck. And I'm looking at him, and this must have been during the night before we went to bed. And he's cranking the air conditioning on, and he's got a turtleneck. And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Well, I like it cold. I like it cold." And I'm like thinking, well, how cold is he going to get? Right? And I don't sleep with a shirt on. Wow, it was like minus 30 in the the little bed sheets, right? And he's just tucked right up with his covers almost over his head with the turtleneck on. So I thought I'd better slip on his shirt. And I'm like, yeah, he was the worst one. He was the worst one for sure.
I can't. Who did I have? Excuse me. I had some good roommates. I was with Curtis Decision.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He was a good one. He was always up bright and early too, and to bed early. Make sure he'd always take care of me. Make sure I got out of bed and wasn't sleeping in. But, geez, I actually missed that when the lockout happened. When did they get your own rooms?
Yeah, that was 04, 05.
Yeah. So then I never had a roommate. I hated it being.
Yeah, it was lonely.
so after 04, 05, they gave you everybody their own room?
If you'd played you had 10 years?
Yeah, you needed whatever the 600 games, or there's certain seniority, which I'd had, and you would have also, but you, you got your own room, which
sucked.
Well, it did suck. I mean, some of it was good, but some of it was bad because you wanted to chat with him.
Yeah.
That was
You're on the
best
road.
part. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the best part.
Yeah. Now I think they all get their own. After your entry level, I think you get your own room nowadays. But
You've been privy to be around some unique individuals. Have you ever, or looking back, or even now, have you been sitting in a room where you're like, man, I can't believe I'm sitting here with whoever? Like a fly on the wall, and you get to sit and watch or listen to a couple of legends talk. Have you ever been kind of where you're like, I can't believe I'm sitting here?
well, I guess early on, I still remember my first training camp. I wasn't sitting in the room; I was just on the ice. But I was with the Islanders, and we had a preseason game against the Rangers. I might have even said this before to you, but it like sticks out like a dream to me. I got a 2-on-1 coming at me. It's Graves and Messier, and like second period, I'm looking. I can still see the lights from the overhead clock, or like the jumbotron. And I don't know. That was kind of an aha moment where I'm like, holy fuck, this is Graves and Messier coming down on me.
Did they score?
I don't think they did, but they may have. I forget.
Yeah, I think my moment was my first game, and we played Pittsburgh, and that was when they had, just a stacked team with Mario and Joe Mullen and Yager and Larry Murphy and Kevin Stevens and Ron Francis, and they had everybody. And I remember in warm-ups, and I'm just standing there, or stretching, as I always did, and I'm just looking at their lineup, and I'm like, holy crap. I was pretty scared, and me and my defense partner were checking Yager, Francis, and Joe Mullen. That was the line we were checking. So that was my moment. I was like, what am I doing here? Yeah.
Before a game, what were you listening to? What was your go-to to get you going?
Oh, what was the go-to? I don't know.
Just whatever the music guy had playing.
Yeah.
You didn't care?
I wasn't a guy that had headphones or anything like that, like they all do now. But no, I just whatever the music was going on.
Yeah, basically me too. I never really ran the music or.
You didn't have a jam? You're telling me you played in the NHL for...
Well, it's funny. So it was actually a series against Toronto. And Bart was in town. My parents were there. And I get in my car to go to the game, and Bart has I had the old 5 CD change or whatever, and there's a note on my steering wheel, go to CD 4, song 3 or whatever. And it's from Rocky. And it's The Burning Heart, I think it's called.
Oh, yeah.
The ride to the rink was only enough for one song. I was only like 5 minutes away, but some of those old songs, the warrior's heart, there's no surrender. The body says stop, but the spirit says never. I was fired up that night. But to be honest, old Metallica, I mean, I remember that would get me going. Like, because we had the dressing room, then the gym. So I remember actually throwing some music on because I'd do my whole routine and warm up, and so get some Metallica going. Or even, this was before the day. Nowadays, what gets me going is some of the techno stuff. I kind of like listen to that, and that gets me way to the golf course or something. That's what I'll be listening.
Well, I know what Wade listens on the golf course, and it's like making love music. And we're like, me and my buddies are like, what? Wade's like, yeah, can I turn a little music on? And we're like, yeah. And next thing you know is these like all soft jams, and I'm like, what is going on? You got the
rock
Danika's.
Well, that's what I always laugh too, because going back to the Midwest Red Wing days when we'd have provincial games in Maidstone, we had 2 tapes in our car. One was Garth Brooks, Rope in the Wind, and the other was the best of Don Williams. And some reason, the Don Williams songs, they get me
fired
fired up or calmed down. I don't know which one, but get me in a good frame of mind anyways.
Yeah,
Next time I'm putting Don Williams on.
Exactly. AC/DC, TNT, and Thunderstruck, they always got me going.
That stuff's timeless for sure, too.
You guys both played in New York City, and this is the last one I'm going to give you. You got to be around a guy from Wainwright, Mr. Glenn Sather, a little bit. What is Mr. Glenn Sather like? Because in the hockey world, on the level of guys who are legendary, Mr. Sather, at least from our area with the Oilers and everything else, is relatively, well, not relatively, he's a huge name. What was Glenn Sather like around in those days?
Well, so I got him. He was right at the end of his run, basically. He signed me, and then he only would have lasted, when did he go till? Maybe another 4 or 5 years, maybe. But just his presence, like, I think he'd lost some of his, you look at his days with the Oilers and the way he'd get fired up. Like, obviously, he was the coach there, too, so he was right involved in everything. But the few times, like, when a GM would come in and run a meeting, if things were going poorly or whatever, like, he had unreal, like, kind of to hear him control a meeting and to speak and just how he approached it. Like, it was pretty impressive. Some of the things he said still stick out and stuff like that. But he was funny. He had a cigar walking around the training facility and be working on his golf clubs because the trainer had all the tools for the whatever stuff they had to do with sticks and skates and that. So he was enjoying life a lot in New York too, I think, and had a great setup. And but yeah, great hockey guy. Obviously, knew a lot about the game and how to get the players going.
Yeah, and for me, I knew he'd always liked me when skating at U of A, and we got an Oiler scholarship given out, and I won it 1 year, and then I got drafted by Tampa, and my agent was in Edmonton, and he was always saying, well, the Oilers are trying to get you, and that's when Glenn was with the Oilers, and Tampa obviously didn't trade me, and then years go on, and then I'm a free agent, and a few guys went down with the Rangers during the season. I didn't sign with anybody, and then Glenn signed me in December, and Brian Trottier was the head coach, and when I got there, he's like, I finally got you, and so that was good for me, like knowing a guy with that his background, thought I was a good player, right? So that meant a lot to me. And then Trottier fired Brian Trottier, and he came in as the head coach. And like Wade said, the presence he had in the dressing room was, it was amazing. And his practices weren't very good, but real old school and just like, horseshoe and 3-line weave and just real basic drills. But that's what he did with the Oilers, right? And did the same with the Rangers. And then I'll never forget the time when I got traded to Edmonton. I was walking out onto for pregame skate, to practice. And we're in the practice rink, and he goes, "Oh, Cory." I'm thinking like I've been playing some of the best hockey in my career in New York. After they signed me, and so I didn't think I was going to get traded or anything. Hey, come to my office, and he pulls me into the stick room, and he's like, "Hey, you're going home," and I'm like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, I traded you to Edmonton." And I was like, at first I was disappointed because I really liked being in New York, and he goes, "Oh, you don't want to go back home?" I'm like, no, it's fine. I just was, I really liked it here. He goes, "Well, I thought you played great, and thanks for coming in a tight spot and playing good for us, but they want you there, and we get a chance to get Anson Carter." And so that was a real cool like exchange with him, being in the stick room, yeah, so that was my Glenn Sather story.
Cool. Well, thanks, boys, for making some time from this. This is
Nice to see you make the trip here, bud. Yeah, good to see you.
Put a few clicks on, and
well, Cory's slowly becoming one of my most sat down with guys. This is the third time. I mean, you're just adding it up here. So
He's got lots to say, this guy.
lots of stories, eh?
I've heard a few, but a few I hadn't heard, so it's always good to hear.
Well, it's good to see you guys, and I appreciate you making some time for me on a weekend, and it was enjoyable. And next time I'm through, I'll make sure we do it again.
Drive safe.
Definitely, buddy. Yeah, good to see you.
Hey, folks, thanks again for joining us today. If you just stumbled on the show and like what you hear, please click subscribe. Remember, every Monday and Wednesday, a new guest will be sitting down to share their story. The Sean Newman Podcast is available for free on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you find your podcast fix. Until next time.